Do your best. Let's go. Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lions.
Oh my God! Victory Sunday.
The Giants look at their schedule and they go, "Oh, the Detroit Lions," and they put the big W, right?
Correct.
It's folks. It's everybody that is on the screen right now that is what makes this special, because this organization has been so bad for so long. Yet here we all are on a Sunday night at 7 o'clock, chopping it up about this football team, because winning 3 in a row and getting this done for the first time since 2017, and like Mark said, having some momentum for this fan base.
When we played against the Patriots one game on Thanksgiving, I had a pretty good game too, and it was just the atmosphere is just different. It's just there is just everybody's ready. You get a chance to wear the throwback uniforms. It was just fun.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think you got to have a good program, but I think the city, the way it's viewed nationally, like the people in Detroit, the business people, the money makers, the marketers, they got to market Detroit different nationally.
And welcome to the Detroit Lions News Show. Our 7-2 Detroit Lions. In 8 days, we're going to be 9-2 Detroit Lions. I'm so pumped up. I'm fired up for this show. I can't wait for Thanksgiving. I can't wait to mollywop those Chicago Bears. And now we got a huge panel here, guys. You're going to love everybody. Take it away, John. How's it going, bud?
Man, it's great. I'm thankful to be here. What a contest it was against the Chargers. Going on the road at SoFi. Man, I'm excited to talk about the Lions this week. Talk about the good, the bad, and I think the positives that are going to come away now with the football team. Like you said, good opportunity to get a grasp on this division. I'm excited.
Yep, John, I want to piggyback off that. I'm very excited as well. This is a 7-2 football team. We've seen 7-2 over the past 20 plus years a few times, but nothing feels as concrete, I believe, as this team right here. From the coaching staff starting upstairs with the GM down to the coaching staff, right down to the players on the field. They seem to have everything really running on the ball right now, and I'm just ready for the second half of the season to unfold to see how things really go.
Yeah, this is a fun offense to sit back and watch and admire. The defense has to straighten up. We played great all year till recently. I'm looking forward to the future here. The next couple of weeks will tell a story, tell a tale that I think we'll all be excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting into it. All right, just take me through what your guys' emotions were in that back and forth contest. It was special for me because it was a game that I took in more like a fan. I'm a beat writer for All Lions, covering the team for a Sports Illustrated channel. But the last weekend, I had an opportunity to go down to Ford Field and catch Metallica on both nights. So I have a team of people. I watched the game and then headed into Ford Field. So I got to watch it where I didn't have any writing responsibilities. And boy, what a fun game to watch, a back and forth shootout. Now, for me, I kind of watch that kind of game and go, all right, I'm happy with the offense, but I'm highly agitated that the defense couldn't get that stop. When 13 Keenan Allen got that fourth down touchdown, I almost took my hat and threw it on the ground and stomped. I'm like, fourth down, you know where it's going, and you still couldn't stop it. And there was so much in that game, from Dan Campbell's decision-making to the defense to Jared Goff lighting up Brandon Staley's defense. Man, it was great. But one takeaway I got from that game is the Lions, if you need to win in a shootout, they can win that kind of game. If you need a tight defensive battle, if the game starts that way, maybe potentially I expect this defense is going to be very upset, and we're going to talk about that later on, what extent this defense, the issues are. But I'm happy they were able to get that victory, and I just thought it was one of the best games on the docket. And for the Lions to get that W, I thought it set the tone and really kicked off the second half. And there's so much good to talk about, and we'll get to the issues later. But man, lots of positives to take away. Walt, what was your biggest positive takeaway?
For me, I was really excited, like I said, watching the game as well. I think as football fans, it's only fun when your team wins that type of game, because if they would have lost that game, You pretty much would have been hell to pay in the public eye this entire week about the defense with AG, as well as maybe Goff's inability to go toe-to-toe with another elite quarterback. But he proved Sunday he was able to do that. I think the defense made a couple stops for that matter. But, I think throughout the entire regular season, you're going to have games like that. It just happens. You're not going to hold everybody to 6 points. You're not going to do everybody like you did Carolina, or how you did, how they did the Bears a couple times last year, or how we did the Falcons for that matter. Elite teams, or at least elite quarterbacks, because I really don't think the Chargers are an elite team. They're an elite quarterback right there. And I think all of us knew that game was going to be a shootout. We all knew exactly what Justin Herbert was made of. Herbert had a huge game against our defense. That's why I'm not really as down on the defense as a lot of people are. We had a game like that, similar offensively with Lamar Jackson, where Lamar Jackson was a hammer. You got those types of quarterbacks who can do that types of things to your defense. So for me, I take away from that game, there's certain teams in the league, certain quarterbacks that the way we play, and I think the personnel we have on defense, it can work against, and then there's just some teams that it won't.
Ryan, I'll echo what you said. Offense is so much fun to watch. It's like they can't stop us. Defense, I feel with some adjustments, we can get back to where we've been, which is a really good defense. That offense is elite. From the quarterback to the wide receivers to the running back. It's tough, man. You can't stop them the whole half. It's tough. You have to make adjustments. And I have a feeling going in to this week, this defense is going to be mad. And I don't care who we play. It's going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the Bears are the cure for any defense that is ailing. Oh my goodness. But Justin Fields is back. I think that's going to be interesting. It'll provide the Lions a test. I do think that Fields is not going to come out and have all his superpowers. It's his first game back after a month away. So I think that the Lions are primed to get some of those sacks. Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Kaminsky. I think they're definitely knowing the organization is not happy with the pass rush. They just went out and signed a veteran who we'll talk about a little bit later. But like I said, and you guys saw it too, that offense was spectacular. And I think what made it special was, even though we don't get to see Big V now, Vitae for the rest of the year as he was put on IR, sliding Graham Glasgow into right guard is a natural fit. You got 5 friends, 5 real close, tight offensive linemen that I think if we can just cross our fingers for one wish, if that offensive line can stay healthy, oh my goodness, the 1-2 punch of Montgomery and Gibbs was special. And I thought that the opportunity to see Montgomery running down that sideline, it was very exciting to see. And you see Jahmyr Gibbs also getting his opportunity, getting his touches, taking advantage of it. You started to see the weapon that we all thought he was going to be. And now in the second half of the year, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is going to feast and really take advantage. If that offensive line can stay healthy, Jonah Jackson missed the first practice of the week, but we'll see what that entails as he's now dealing with a wrist and an ankle situation. If they can stay healthy, I think this run game can be real dangerous, and you see what that does. That opens up everything for Goff. It lets him really survey the field, and it gives you that dual threat of, are they going to pass? Are they going to run? And I think that you guys got to remember too, the Lions are doing all this without a real, true, explosive, deep passing game. They're so precise with Ben Johnson and everything that they're able to still execute at a very high level without what you would call a typical deep threat option. So you have a lot of good pieces in place, but man, that offensive line and those running backs really impressed me. And I'm just excited to see, because now you get a test. The Bears are the number 2. If I recall, when I looked earlier today, the number 2 rushing defense in the entire NFL. So they're going to bring it. So I'm curious to see mano a mano how this line stacks up against the Bears, because they're going to bring it too. And if you can pound the rock at home, that'll make it a very, very advantageous situation for your offense.
Yeah, I'm just like, what was that? Pro Football Focus rated us number 1. I saw that today. I don't know if you reported that, John, with Detroit Lions Lowdown. Guys, make sure you subscribe. That's where I get all my information from. It's Thunder and Lightning with Jahmyr Gibbs and Monty. Wow, what a nice run. 75-yard run with J-Mo running down the field on his second time he sprung him. Man, that's his best friend, Monty's best friend. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm not really worried about the Chicago Bears. I am worried about Justin Fields taking off. I just can't wait. I can't wait to be there.
Yeah, I think the offensive line gets a lot of credit. Doesn't get enough credit, though. You know, if you look at what they were able to do against that pass rush, that twosome pass rush of Joey Bosa, right along with Khalil Mack, that was a big concern of mine heading to the game, and they shut those dudes out. Kept Goff clean all day. So I think for a team like them, even though they do have their deficiencies on defense, I still think they're a few players away, a couple playmakers on defense away from really being legit. This is an offense that they can control the line of scrimmage. They can run the ball. If you allow Detroit to turn the game into however they want to turn the game, because as we all know in the classic football game, whoever sets the tone in the first quarter, that's usually how it's going to go. Unless a team is just that much better than the opponent and they can reverse things throughout the course of a 60-minute game. But it's been proven this season, at least over the last 9 games of last season, if you allow Detroit to dictate how they want the game to unfold, they're going to do it. You know, and as John mentioned, they're doing all this offensively without a true big-time threat downfield. Now, I do believe throughout the stretch run of this season and heading into the playoffs, the maturation of Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be huge. I also do believe that Jameson is getting a lot more comfortable, because people do tend to not realize how important it is to be around your team as well. This is a dude who played 1 year of college football at Alabama. He missed virtually his entire rookie season, if you want to be honest about it. Wasn't around the guys too much. He seems to be a guy who's getting more and more comfortable. You see how happy he is with the teammates. He's out there. He's not sulking the way a lot of prima donna wide receivers would be if they weren't getting the ball. He's out there springing guys for touchdowns. He's as excited as they are when the team scores. So this could be, I think, a very bright spot for him moving forward, because he seems to really be coming around as far as being close with his teammates.
Right. This offensive line, man, they may be the best offensive line we've had ever. They're really good. I mean, the numbers don't lie. The days of having a running back like Barry Sanders, 25 plus carries a game, which is my favorite player of all time, is over. Okay. You need 2 backs. I don't care who you are. This is big. And like you said, the development of Gibbs and keeping Montgomery healthy, it's huge. It's huge for our future. It's huge for the rest of this year. Playoffs, nobody's wanting to deal with that, trust me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, imagine this offense when J-Mo picks it up, when you have the opportunity that he's going to run the right routes, he's going to get more targets thrown his way. It's going to be a steady build. And I think maybe we just have to really sit back and say we got to wait for Jameson in the playoffs, when he kind of catches on, he understands exactly where he needs to be. And that chemistry is just going to take time to develop. And Jared Goff, they say, is very precise. He wants his quarterback, he wants his wide receivers. If he needs them at 10 yards, he needs them at 10 yards. And if they're not there, it throws off a whole play. So it's exciting, because imagine now you have this offense that just dropped 41 points, and you now add Jameson Williams, who potentially is going to take the top off the defense. It's just going to really, hopefully, if he addresses the drop problems, is more reliable, I think he'll get more touches and more opportunities. I think right now he played his most that he ever played, 52% of the offensive snaps. So there's a lot of hope for that offense. The other positive I thought that was excellent was Dan Campbell went into that game with the game plan. I'm going to be aggressive come hell or high water. And how many times in the past when the game was late, you can just recall last year when Dan Campbell against Minnesota, and he's told the media that quite a bit, and we've talked to him about it. That game against Minnesota really impacted him as a coach, being that he made a decision against the Vikings on the road where he went for the field goal. It wasn't maybe the best decision. The team missed it, and the Vikings went on to win the game. That loss really stuck with Dan Campbell. And now he said, look, if I'm going to make a decision in the game to be aggressive, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's what he felt on that 4th and 2 call. Now, me personally, I'm always of the opinion you take the points, but I think obviously Dan Campbell knows more about his team, and maybe he got a sense early in that game that the defense might have had some struggles. But that 4th and 2 call, really late, not kicking the field goal, because potentially if you give the football back to Justin Herbert with a minute 10 or minute 20 left in the game, there's a chance he goes right down the field. I mean, Keenan Allen was unstoppable, even if everybody on the planet knew he was going to get the football. So for the Lions to execute and get the ball to Sam Laporta. Now the throw was a little bit wobbly. If you look at it and replay it, Goff threw a wobbler right into the chest of Sam Laporta, but he caught it. And that allowed the Lions to milk the clock. And I just think it goes to show you that could be something in the postseason to pay attention to. Would Dan Campbell make that same call in that same spot in a postseason game? Because that's the ultimate high risk, high reward decision to go out there and make that 4th down call. But Dan Campbell is aggressive, and he don't care what anybody thinks about it. He's going to go for it. And I'm glad that Jared Goff and the offense were able to back him up by executing. And that really helps everything out, because had they missed it or had they not gotten that first down, there would be a lot of criticism heading Dan Campbell's way. Are you guys liking the aggressiveness? Are you saying, okay, now we've seen it time and time again, this is the coach we got, and we're just going to live with it?
Yeah, that's part of his. It's part of his MO, man. Like I'd rather have a coach that goes out and does what he's expected to do. And like, listen, if you're an aggressive coach, be an aggressive coach, but with a little, you got to hold it back. You can't be Brandon Staley type stupid though. But if you're going to be an aggressive coach, be aggressive at the right moments. In that game, he was absolutely on point, because he knew on the other side with Justin Herbert that he had to match blow for blow for blow. Like, it wasn't going to just be like, oh, I'm going to go for it here and then not go for it here. He said, because he did that, I think it was earlier in the season with the Seattle game, he didn't take that aggressive approach. So this time around, he comes in and he says, I'm going to be aggressive as hell, and we're going to go for it on 4th down. And people are saying, kick the field goal, kick the field goal, kick the field goal. Well, they were +7 on those on that when they went for it twice. They went for it twice. They passed up the field goal. They didn't get it. Then they got a touchdown the third time. So they're technically +7. But if you want to take it away, they're still +1. So that was a good decision.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at that point in time, I kind of felt like on the second one, go ahead and just take the points. But everyone's happy with it, when you win. But as Joe mentioned, you go back to that Seattle game, I felt like they exerted so much energy creating that comeback that at that last possession, why not just go for the win instead of risking going into overtime where you lose, and they ultimately did lose. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is, as long as things work out, everybody's happy. Come playoff time in a winner-take-all situation, no 7-game series, win or go home, you got to be able to taper back a little bit, be a little more strategic, and know exactly when you need to go for it and when not to go for it, because points matter. It's not going to always be a 41-38 game. Some games may turn out to eventually unfold 12-6, 17-10. So you got to be able to have the right gauge on the game, how the game is slowly unfolding, and whether you need field goals or touchdowns.
At times it can be nerve-wracking to me, but it's totally opposite of a Jim Caldwell, where you take the points every time. Sometimes you got to go for it, man. If it's just inches and you're on their side of the field, deep down, I say go for it. I'm all about gambling. Every time, not so much. But in the playoffs, when we play the Eagles, we better go for it. We better go for it.
No, my only counter to that is what Walt said is if you're gonna not go for it in certain situations in playoffs, that might come back to haunt you. So that's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I think it's possible, but we can go back 2 years ago in that Colts Buffalo Bills wild card game where they went for it at the wrong times and bad coaching cost the Chargers that game. The Chargers had no business losing that game to Buffalo. Phillip Rivers was the quarterback, matter of fact, at that time. So, yeah, I mean, you damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think one thing they do need to work on that people really aren't talking about is that red zone efficiency. You know, if we feel like this is a Super Bowl team, we should compare them to the two teams who made it to the Super Bowl a year ago. The Chiefs and the Chargers. Now, not Chiefs and Chargers. Hell no, not the Chargers. the Chiefs and the Eagles, for that matter. If you look at Detroit this season, offensively the 26th and defensively the 30th. You look at the Eagles a year ago, offensively they were 3rd in the league in red zone percentage, 12th in defense, so they were pretty much elite. And if you look at the Chiefs, yeah, they were terrible as far as red zone efficiency, defensive wise. They were 31st in the league, but they were completely at the other end of the pendulum offensively. They were 2nd in the league. So I don't think we've ever seen, I can't recall a Super Bowl contending team be that bottom half of the league in red zone percentage.
Yes, absolutely. You said it. You look at it, and that was a point of emphasis during the self-scout was they recognized that, man, we're taking a lot of penalties on both sides when the defense and the offense in the red zone. They definitely understood from watching film that they definitely needed to improve. Now, the defense, we're going to talk about the struggles. The offense obviously took it upon themselves to make the step and really execute and score touchdowns. And I think that, look, they said it. They were making too many mistakes. They were taking penalties. And that sucked, too, because they called a penalty on Decker that probably is a little bit controversial in that it felt like a block that maybe offensive linemen definitely are taught to make. So I thought that was very light. It took away a touchdown and a great celebration from Jamison Williams. So you look at it and you say, this football team definitely is aware of some of their issues. And they're aware that when they pop up, they work to correct them. And I do think the red zone efficacy is going to improve. I do think that Sam Laporta, having David Montgomery back is huge. I think that he definitely will be another target. And now maybe you can even incorporate a couple new guys. The new fullback, Rodrigo, maybe will get some touches. Brock Wright earned trust and maybe more targets as well, given the fact that he's a very reliable player and a player the coaches love. Real fast, definitely want to give love to the chat. Scott, Fred, Ethan, is that Argel Irish? We see you there. Yes, we see everything going on in the chat. Definitely. We see everything that's being said, and definitely we highlight some of the best stuff here on the platform there. So definitely keep the comments coming. We love it. We love to understand and see what you guys are thinking based on what we're saying. But yes, the other side of the coin, we definitely talked for the first 25 minutes here about the positives. The big thing that upset a lot of people was the fact that Justin Herbert probably could still use his jersey. He was clean. He was not pressured all that much. But when he was able to elude and find his guys. And I thought that Kellen Moore did a good job of moving the pocket at times, finding open receivers and moving the football. But I think where everybody was concerned, and obviously the Lions addressed it, but we'll talk about that as well. The defense did not play well. And people are concerned about Sutton. People are concerned about the defensive backs. They're concerned about the lack of the pass rush. It was not a good performance. And I think that people definitely are wondering in the biggest games when the defense needs to step up, it's not there. It's not there in regards to execution. And I thought that The lack of pass rush really killed the Lions this week, and it allowed for Justin Herbert to do his thing. But you also got to give credit to the opponent. The offensive line of the Chargers handled their business. They used what they were able to do to run the passes that they needed to run. I thought that they ran really high, really effective play calling by Kellen Moore, and I thought they played to their strengths. And people said, why not double Keenan Allen? Well, Dan Campbell said we did, but he was able to run through it. And because the pass rush wasn't there, that the cornerbacks can't cover for that long. So I felt like the starting point was the big war that comes from this game was there was not enough pass rush to get the job done. And I think it was very costly and could have cost the Lions this game.
Yeah. It was bad. But like I said, I'm not too worried about it. It was the Chargers. It was Justin Herbert. He's an elite quarterback. You look at Keenan Allen. Keenan's pretty much as close to their version of Amon-Ra St. Brown as it can get. He's a possession receiver. He's a guy who's been pretty much unheralded his entire career, 11-year career. He's caught over 100 balls 4 times in his career. And he's a guy that he's consistent. He's reliable. He's the guy that Justin Herbert consistently goes to. Now, what really had me thinking that the Chargers didn't have an opportunity to really win the game was the fact that Mike Williams wasn't there. Mike Williams gives them a whole different dimension to that offense. And without Mike Williams being there, they're in a situation where they got to kind of paper cut you to death. And that's what they did, but they were damn good at it. I believe they scored touchdowns. Was it 4 straight drives or 5 straight drives? So, I think this is defensively something we knew this team needed heading into last year's draft, after the draft for that matter as well as free agency, as well as those first range of cuts before preseason began. And they believed in the guys that they had. A lot of us thought that we would get more out of John Kaminsky, than we've gotten. I think John is what John is. He's got a ceiling. I think talent-wise, he's a little maxed out. He's more of a rotational guy. We haven't been able to get anything from Broderick Martin. Isaiah Buggs, he's good, but Isaiah Buggs is pretty much that run stopper that we need. He helps things out tremendously. But we still need another guy opposite of Ayton who can really threaten the offense, and we really don't have that right now. Now, James Houston, if we're banking on what we saw the end of last year, the last 5 games of last season, we hope he eventually evolves back into that, but we really don't know because he hasn't played pretty much any this season. So we're hoping when James comes back, James is going to be in shape. That's the number one thing right there. He hasn't played football in a long time. And also, he's still kind of a rookie. He only played a handful of games last year. So I think as fans, we got to kind of take it slow with James Houston as well, kind of taper back some of those expectations. It's hard to taper back the expectations because he was tremendous once he got into the lineup. But, like I said, hopefully someone can jump in, hit the ground running, and help this pass rush. And maybe it's Bruce Irvin.
Oh, definitely. Bruce is coming. He's coming. I'm a West Virginia boy. He played at WVU. I knew yesterday through a friend that he's coming. Look, everybody's big on his age. He is 36 years old, but he's not expected to play 99% of the snaps, okay? What he's going to bring to this defense is he's going to bring a pass rush like nobody's business. I'm telling you, people need to be patient with this defense. This defense is good. Out of 9 games, we've had 2 bad ones, Baltimore and San Diego. Calm down. We've won 7 games. But my good friend Bruce is coming. And let me tell you, when he gets that first sack, I want to hear everybody in Ford Field say, Bruce, because that's what we did in West Virginia.
Yeah, I agree with Donnie, okay? Because I know people look at his age and they go, well, he can't be the same player. But here's the thing. When you look at Bruce Irvin, it's kind of similar to Frank Clark, right? Like Frank Clark, when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs, he was their guy in the playoffs that really made things happen. And he wasn't a great pass rusher in the regular season, but when he got to postseason, it was a totally different game. So I just want to caution people, and I got a couple stats for you regarding the Detroit Lions defense. So I was doing it for my video that I couldn't do because I'm running out of freaking time. But when I looked at this, the 5 times the Lions have held teams at 20 points or less, they're 5th in EVE, which is an efficiency rating. They're 9th in defensive EVE, which is an efficiency rating. So obviously they're doing a pretty damn good job of being efficient on defense. So what I would say to people is, I know people looked at Aaron Glenn. I know we need another pass rusher for Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. We're going to have to address that in the offseason. But at this current time, Bruce Irvin's probably the best bet because I do think he can come in and help you out real quick.
Absolutely.
Okay. No, I agree. I think that, obviously the first couple days he's going to acclimate. He hasn't taken a snap or a rep since January. So I think that, odds on that he'll probably not debut this week, but maybe on Thanksgiving with that short turnaround. And I think that starting him off on the practice squad, getting him acclimated, I think right away he'll get a taste of that offensive line, seeing what it's like potentially to match up against Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell and all that kind of good stuff. So he'll get up to speed real quick, especially against a top offensive line. But to address the points made for those that say, well, calm down, the defense is going to do a good job, I think the players are recognizing, okay, we still have this issue of not being able to marry the pass rush and the coverage. And at this point in time, when you still have things that pop up like miscommunications, receivers galloping open, not getting to the quarterback, it causes a lot of chaos. And the reason why people get mad is in the postseason, everything is heightened. There's no guarantee that your offense is going to be purring like a kitten. There's no guarantee that just because it's the postseason that everybody's going to dial it up and be successful. So you want to see the defense kind of trending in the right direction. And in games where you need them to step up, they haven't yet in regards to against the Ravens, the Seahawks, and the Chargers. It just felt like the game plan maybe wasn't exactly where it needed to be, maybe with the number of blitzes. Because when you can't pass rush, what that means is you got to take calculated risks and you got to blitz. And you got to kind of have a little bit of more of an adjustment. So, yes, I think the players need to be held accountable, but I think some of the blame as well should be on Aaron Glenn and also kind of dialing up some aggressiveness when you're seeing that your guys are not getting home. You got to kind of take a chance. And if you're going to give up that many points, you got to make it a little bit tougher on the opposition. It just feels like when the Lions defense is not playing well, they play too far back. Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs, maybe not in the best positions to be able to succeed. And then the pass rush, they have to get home. Yes, pass rush, win rates, efficacy, all those numbers are good. But bottom line, when you look at it in the postseason, you're going to need to be able to get to the quarterback and cause negative plays. And I just didn't. I thought that against the Chargers definitely were in second and short situations where there was not a lot of pressure for them to execute. So especially when it's going to Keenan Allen and you still can't stop it, that is a big, huge red flag. In that, I thought that they needed to find a different kind of plan once it started to go down that road that he was going to start to be effective. So I think part of the blame needs to go on AG as well. Am I wrong? Or do you guys think that it's up to the players to step it up? Because the organization said, hey, we don't like what we're seeing exactly. We're going to add some more players to the mix here.
There's one player that I do blame. There's one player I do blame.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
All right. I think there's one player that needs to have a lot of blame on him right now, and it's Cameron Sutton. I think people are mesmerized that he wasn't getting targeted for a while. But let me just give you a stat. Do you know who the best cornerback on the team in terms of completion percentage against is? Anybody know? Completion percentage against. Jerry Jacobs. Cameron Sutton's at 60%. Okay, and the one thing about it is he's not getting targeted as much as Jerry is. So when Keenan Allen was on Cameron Sutton, I don't know the numbers because it hasn't came out yet, but when he was on Keenan Allen, he got burnt, and then we've seen pass interferences that might have been a little ticky-tacky, but for the most part, I do think Cameron Sutton's underperforming for a little bit. Is it all Aaron Glenn? I mean, Aaron Glenn there's part of the blame is on Aaron Glenn. I agree with you, John, but there's also part of the blame on the players, because if you're not getting home, that's a player issue right there. And if you send blitzes against a guy like Justin Herbert, he will eat you effing alive. Okay, he will eat you alive. So that's why I don't think they. And you said something about Seattle, Baltimore, and the Chargers where the defense didn't show up. Both defenses didn't show up in the Charger game. Both defenses didn't show up in the Seattle game. I mean, the only defense that showed up in the Baltimore game was Baltimore. So you have a give and take kind of thing right there.
What do you think, Walt?
Yeah. Me personally, I still think it's a talent issue with this team. I wasn't that happy with the talent situation last season defensively. I feel like in 3 years, almost full 3 years, they haven't given him enough, or at least invested enough top tier picks and talent as they have on the offensive side of the ball. I think we all knew Emmanuel Mosley, he was coming in on a 1-year deal. Sutton was coming in from Pittsburgh. They chose to not bring him back. We paid Sutton what we paid Sutton. We paid Sutton pretty much be a lockdown corner, and that's not what he really is. Mosley has given us nothing. I'm pretty sure he won't be back next season. You're looking at Jerry Jacobs. You're looking at Ifeatu Melifonwu, who probably won't be back. He hasn't really given us much since he's been here. Khalil Dorsey, Chase Lucas. Like, these are guys who I believe are put in roles right now that they shouldn't be in. We still need to address the talent on that back end. I felt that way. I felt like the Brian Branch draft pick was good, but Brian is only going to be as good as what they can get on the outside to protect him. So cornerback needs to be addressed this offseason. Also, edge rusher. I felt like this past draft alone, if you didn't want an edge rusher, you should have at least gotten one of the top tier corners. This past draft was loaded with guys from Christian Gonzalez to Joey Porter Jr. to Clark Phillips, like guys who went later in the draft. Cam Smith, who went to the Miami Dolphins. There was just too many guys, too much elite talent for us to walk away with none of them. And we brought in Mosley on the 1-year deal coming off an ACL injury. So for me, outside of Aiden Hutchinson, who else is really the real blue chip talent on this defense? We don't have any more guys like that. Now, some of these guys may hopefully develop into that, but at corner for sure we don't. Outside of Aiden Hutchinson on that defensive line, we don't. Linebacker wise, we hope eventually Jack Campbell evolves into a first-round pick. He hasn't really been that impressive this season. Whether or not he's being used incorrectly or not, that's neither here nor there. But like I said, for me, it's more about the talent right now. AG, he can get things done. We saw him get things done in New Orleans when they had higher levels of talent. So I feel like until he gets higher levels of talent, we really can't blame everything on him. They're going to look good against bad teams. Let's be honest about it. Look at the teams they held under 20 points. Now, I understood they held Kansas City around that area, but let's be honest about those teams they held under 20 points. You should have a high efficiency against that type of talent, or that type of team. What did they do against the teams that they didn't hold? Let's be honest.
Well, efficiency is taking over the whole thing this season. So it's not just a here and there. It's a whole season type thing. So there's 9 weeks of efficiency standards there. You can look at.
Carolina was what? They held Carolina to how many points?
Yeah, Carolina's garbage. We can go
Atlanta.
on.
They held Atlanta under 20.
Atlanta's there's
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. I mean, they should be a better offense than they are. All I'm saying is their efficiency rating is high. So you look at the teams that they held under 20 points, and you could also look at it's kind of a here and there. You're right. It's a talent thing, but I don't think it's a total. I mean, you look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Do they got a blue chip cornerback on their team? No,
but they're very opportunistic.
Do the Kansas City Chiefs have a blue chip cornerback? No.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're gonna play bend but not break, you better at least make some plays. I also think they're not making enough plays. I heard on the radio earlier, someone brought up about how this defense is comparable scoring wise to what the Eagles had a year ago, what the Chiefs had, but people are also leaving out the fact that the Eagles led the league in sacks last year.
Yep.
You have to be elite in some category. You can't just give up 26, 27 points per game and think that's just going to be okay, and you're just going to give up 12 and 13 and 14 play drives.
Well, I agree with that. But you look. That's what happened with the Patriot way when Patricia came over here. They wanted to be a bend don't break defense, but when they got to bend don't break, if you ain't getting turnovers and you ain't getting sacked and you ain't getting tackles for loss, it doesn't freaking work.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very curious because I think none of us respect the Bears. I'm very curious before I have to run. I think we all kind of are assuming, it has a potential. The Bears could be a close game, but I think everyone believes that the Lions overwhelmingly are going to win. I think everybody is talking now when they look at it. The schedule, as it's kind of arriving, has a couple games that are very interesting. I think that if you look at it, the Broncos are playing a little bit better after that classic performance. They got lucky on Monday Night Football, but they're playing a little bit better. The Vikings are definitely coming. They're playing a little bit better brand of football, getting back to their winning ways, the Cowboys game. So I'm very curious. I want to know from you guys. Obviously, we worry about the Packers, Vikings, and Bears. Are you concerned at all in any capacity about the Vikings? They get Josh Dobbs, who's on the Lions practice squad, and he starts the year off with Cleveland, gets traded to Arizona, and then they end up moving him to the Vikings when Kirk Cousins goes down. But you got to remember that when you look at it, the Vikings have won these games after starting, I think, 1-4. They're now 5-4, I believe, and they don't have Justin Jefferson. He's working his way back, and when he comes back, he certainly is going to give that offense a jolt. I think that they're finding their winning ways, and I think that that's a team that maybe, if I look at it, I think that it would not be out of the question if the Lions finish this year 13-4. Maybe one loss in the division and one loss, whether it be to the Broncos, a surprise loss, maybe to the Saints, or another loss to the Cowboys. I could see two more losses, but I think that you got to keep your eye on the Vikings over the next couple weeks. They're formidable, and they're not going away. What do you think, Walt?
Yeah, I agree 100%. The Vikings, they play you tough. They play everybody tough, so I see no reason why they wouldn't play us tough. I was telling someone the other day, I think that Week 16 trip to Minnesota could be dangerous for us, right along with Week 17 at Dallas. Both of those games could be very dangerous. Even though I feel Detroit is better than Minnesota this year, because Minnesota just flying too close to the sun right now with all of those close games. You're not going to continue to win all of those games. But, they're a weird team because they were like this last season. They don't blow anybody out, and nobody blows them out. They just play everybody to a one-possession, field goal, 2-point game, maybe a touchdown game here and there. But, the Vikings, they've been a thorn in us for a while now. They play us tough. So if we do end up with one divisional loss, I definitely see it coming from them. I don't think we lose a game to the Bears, and I think we crush Green Bay on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like I told people before, I told people that Josh Dobbs has to stop. I watch this cat at Tennessee a lot of times, okay? And there's Josh Dobbs moments where he looks freaking phenomenal. He looks like a pro quarterback. He did this at Tennessee. He did this with the Arizona Cardinals. He did it with the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. And then he goes into Josh Dobbs mode like he was at Tennessee, where he starts turning over the ball, getting careless with the ball. It's totally Josh Dobbs. Now, with Minnesota, they do have a better defense than I gave them credit for. That's number one. That out of all the playoff teams, I think they're fourth that would qualify as that. So when I look at this division, I don't really fear anyone because you got to handle your business first and foremost. And second thing is, if people are dismissing how good the Chicago Bears are in terms of what they could do when you go play them this week and at Soldier Field, you're fooling yourself. Because this is a team that could really trip you up. That's my opinion. Of all the teams on the schedule, this is the team that's going to trip you up. If they trip you up. Either at Chicago or versus Detroit. I mean, in Ford Field. They're going to win. I think Chicago's going to win one of those games. That's my feeling on it. Especially if Justin Fields is healthy.
Yeah, I think 13 wins the division. I think 14 wins may give us the bye week.
Yeah. I don't know why I think about it, but like you look at the Chicago Bears and there's just parts of their game. Like I feel like it was a good thing that Justin Fields got hurt for his development, because when he watched Tyson Bagent not give up sacks and like not give himself up for sacks. I think that's something that Justin Fields can learn off of. Like sometimes, dude, you just have to get rid of the ball. Sometimes you just have to get it out to the receivers quick. Don't run around. Don't be like Lamar Jackson had this problem too. He would like to run around, and then they said just hem yourself in the pocket, and look at him right now. He's absolutely phenomenal. That's what Justin Fields. If he was to learn anything from Tyson Bagent, it's exactly that.
How about Donovan Peoples-Jones? Homecoming.
I mean, what do you expect from him?
Well, that game, I think they're gonna give him a shot. If he plays, I think they're gonna give him a couple shots. Long run, I think he provides. Even though we didn't get anything from Marvin Jones, it was great to get a young pair of legs in the locker room. A guy who's 6'2", 205, can run, can jump, can run all of those same routes across the middle, can run the digs, can run the slants, can get you a post in there every now and then. He's physical, he's tough. I think he's a guy that could potentially help out our red zone percentage also.
Yeah, I like him. I like him as a deep threat. What were you saying, Donnie?
I just said I agree.
Oh, you got anything else?
What? I want a couple predictions from you guys. I like 6-0, but I'm being biased.
Well, I'm gonna be there. They always win when I'm there, except for when they play Seattle. They lose all those games.
Well,
but if it's anybody else, they win it.
Right.
All right, guys. I posted a link. Anybody that wants to jump in, this is the show. This is the part of the show that you're going to talk to the podcasters. I just posted a link. Anybody, just you could use your phone. We don't care. Just no swearing.
No snip. No, but you were saying something about DPJ. Like, what are you expecting? I mean, to be honest, like what I expect out of DPJ is what I expected out of Marvin when he came here. Just occasional deep threat. And if he develops into more, even better. Okay, even better. But at this current time, like, just do what you can. It's the same thing. I think Antoine Green at the end of the year is going to start to come on too. That's my prediction, really. Like, I think he's been getting snaps. So, but I just have a feeling with Dan Campbell's comments today about J-Mo. I think you're going to see a couple of J-Mo deep shots this week.
Can you imagine if they both work out?
Oh, jeez.
Like if Jameson finally puts it all together,
and DPJ
and he becomes even half of what he was at Alabama, and DPJ turns out to be a guy that we bring back over the offseason, and we don't have to burn a high first-round pick or second-round pick on the receiver.
Hey, that's even better because you don't have to really burn anybody on offense,
Maybe guard. I think guard is a position they could draft. Guard's first, second.
I would say guard's going to be a position. I can't really think of anybody else on offense because I don't know if you're going to pay Jonah Jackson. That's a key right there.
No, you don't pay a guard. Anyways, damn,
Darcy.
You don't pay a guard.
Really?
Oh, bro.
You don't pay guards.
No guard?
No, I'm going to promote it a little bit here. This is my buddy here, Robert Gonzalez. He's going for NFL Fan of the Year. Please vote. I'll look for the link for you guys to vote. With the 15 viewers that we have, that's pretty good for the Off the Cuff show. Robert's he goes to all the away games. Please vote for Robert. Please. Let's go. Talk about it, guys.
Hey, any of those fans that, been in there did vote for him, so we good.
Yeah, it's been tough being a Lion fan, especially a serious one. Serious one like that, man. I'm happy. I never thought I'd see this day. I remember the Eric Kramer days and the Mike McMahon days.
God, you know what? You're showing your age, Walter, because I wasn't even alive for that. So
here, I got one thing to say. Well, I got all these guys watching. Welcome to the Detroit Lions News Show. Listen, go to YouTube. Go to Detroit Lions news show, and you'll catch all these characters on there all the time. You go rewatch it, subscribe to your TV, That's the best way to do it. After this, that's what I'm gonna go do, and I'm gonna, look at my beautiful hair. I got to be the best looking.
Man keeps talking about his hair, man.
I got to be the best looking podcasters. NBC, Fox. You know what? Eat your heart out. I think I'm the best looking podcaster out there. Walt doesn't think so. I don't think.
Why would he bring me into it and then put me on the full screen, man? This man brought his hair up in the last show.
Yep. No, it's a good flow, but yeah.
It's a good flow.
Do that again. Look at that.
I do like that. Yeah, it's nice.
That Bart Starr's knee.
I believe so.
No, it's Aaron Rodgers' Achilles.
There it is. Ouch.
Okay, let's talk here. I see I got 3 comments. I'm not being a good producer here. Holy fucking nail biter that fucking game was. You had 7 freaking 4th downs. Wow. Isn't that crazy? What do you guys expect we're going to do against the Bears?
Run them out of the
because Walter's going to be there. And the last time I said to everybody when we played the Bears on, I think it was New Year's Day, and I stayed downtown Detroit, had an awesome time. Downtown Detroit is awesome. I felt totally safe, better than Windsor on the other side, with all those crackheads. But I had such a great time. Such a great time. But we mollywopped them, right? And my thing is, I was freaking nervous when we played the Chargers. I was in a bad mood. We had Stephon Logan on. All you guys were on, other than Donnie. I was in a bad mood. Like, I realized their defense sucks. That was our 3rd game where we never got 1 sack. We got 1 pressure that turned into a touchdown or interception. That game with the Chargers was a game of inches. Total game of inches. Was Kerry Joseph barely caught that in bounds. And then you got Monty. He's actually was out of bounds. If you ask me, he was out of bounds.
No, he wasn't.
No, he was close.
No, he wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
You don't think so?
No.
If he was, I have no problem saying he was if he was, but he wasn't.
See, here's what you're missing, Darcy. Games in the NFL happen like that. And when you're going against a good quarterback like Justin Herbert, games happen like that. The good thing about it, though, was you had a quarterback that was matching blow for blow. That's what matters. If you had a quarterback that threw 2 interceptions, you ain't winning that game. Goff was perfect. He did his job, and they ran the ball well, and they did. But you know what? A lot of people are telling me, "Oh, this shows me that the defense is horrible." I don't know, guys. I mean, if you go look at past Super Bowl champions, if you go look at a couple of wins they had where they were up in the high scores, that's sometimes what happens, man. And if you're gonna be a team that's gonna win in the playoffs, this is something you gotta do.
Yeah, I think they're at a point right now where they're beating teams that they're supposed to beat. They only had 1 stinker this year. That was Baltimore, and then they lost to Seattle in the overtime. Everybody else they were supposed to beat, and they beat them. Now, the opening line, because I want to bring the gambling up, the opening line was what, 9.5, I believe?
Yeah.
That's a lot of points to be given a team at home, especially in a divisional game, but I believe they'll cover it. I just think that everything is flowing too good for this team right now. I don't see them having I don't see any Carolina games this year. Carolina was bad last year, and we laid an egg. That was the one hiccup on the winning streak that we had. I don't see that happening this year. I think Dan Campbell's got this team too focused right now. They're healthy. They're controlling the line of scrimmage. And Goff has a hold on this offense that we've never seen before. So this team losing to Chicago, I don't see it. Neither game. I don't think they lose at New Orleans. I know a lot of people are right now kind of scared about New Orleans right now. That's not the same New Orleans team we saw for over a decade under Drew Brees.
Don't fire a shot to me, Walt. How dare you?
No, listen. Listen, man, the New Orleans Saints cost me a lot of money over the years, so I refuse to ever gamble on them or even believe in them ever again. But, Derek Carr and Michael Thomas throwing bricks through windows and Chris Olave speeding when he's not supposed to be speeding in areas he's not supposed to be speeding, and Alvin Kamara looking off Derek Carr on the sideline. Like, things just ain't going well for the Saints right now. We're better than the Saints. And as I mentioned before, I think there's only 2 games I believe that could trip us up. That's week 16 at Minnesota, and then week 17, was it Christmas Eve, I believe, or is it New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve, yeah, at Dallas. Those are only 2 games I believe could trip us up.
Right. So I want to run something past you guys. Do you know who has the best strength of schedule out of all NFC playoff teams right now?
I'm gonna predict.
I'm assuming it's Detroit.
It's the Lions at 488, the Vikings at 484, the Eagles at 459, the Seahawks at 435, and the Cowboys, the ultimate fraud Cowboys, 388. They feast on bad teams, and they still look like shit.
Yeah.
Pretty good defense, though. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas gave us a serious game and beat us.
Oh,
I think we're better. Yeah, I think we're better, but at Dallas, and you never really know what Dallas team is going to show up as well, man. Dak can play from time to time. He has his games, but that team does kind of, it puts an asterisk over it for me. I think that's a game that could be tough for us. I don't think we're just gonna go into Dallas and just handle Dallas.
What day is that? Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Love his accent.
Present for us, fellas. Big Dub and Big D, right?
He's a West Virginia boy.
Yes, sir.
No, Dallas can't.
Ethan, I sent you a link. Just jump on here already instead of commenting. That's what this part of the show is about.
Now, Dallas can trip you up, though. I agree with that, but I just think the Dallas Cowboys are such frauds. I can't even call them good. No.
So Donnie, you're gonna go and get some podcast equipment because you did such a great job. And you're on. This is one of the biggest Facebook podcasts. Joe runs the Detroit Lions News podcast. Walter is going to be working for Fox Sports sooner or later, but
I won't shave my face.
No, you won't shave it, and you don't want to be on a script. You don't want to be scripted.
It's part of the script. They're not going to New York Yankee me.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to talk about LeBron now for 20 minutes.
Donnie, talk about. I don't think you got into a depth for the. We went down to 10 viewers. Talk about what you did there, and how you know Bruce.
Okay, this sign right here, my friend Dale Sparks. He's a professional photographer for WVU, West Virginia sports, basketball, football. He's either in the end zone or behind the goal at the Coliseum. Anyways, he brings in players, former Mountaineers, to do autograph sessions and such. And we have a nice little sports bar and grill called Kegler's, and we did a 2-hour event there with Bruce. It was actually the week after the Seattle loss, which stung. And hanging out with Bruce, helping him out, with the autographs and all. We had some downtime. I talked to him a little bit. I asked him a few questions. I said, Bruce, are you retired? Are you ever going to play again? You're not young, right? At least that's what I was thinking. And he said, no, I'm playing this year. He looked me dead in the eye and he was serious. He's like, I'm playing this year. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're probably going back to the Seahawks. But me being a Lions fan, I asked him, I suggested to him, I said, man, you should come to Detroit. I said, we could use you. Did you see last week? Because we didn't have a good defensive performance against Seattle. Remember that, guys? So he just gave me this look, this smile. And then Dale, my friend Dale that had the event, calls me up yesterday as I was driving down the road. He said, hey, man, he's like, Bruce just signed with the Lions. I said, what? He said, oh, you heard me. He's like, Bruce.
Donnie Baby did it.
Wow. I was shocked. I was calling my friend Ben. This guy, I'm telling you, he's going to bring something to this team that we need. He may just be a third down specialist, but guys, he brings speed. He's got grit. He's got heart. I saw it at West Virginia firsthand. I saw it in the pros, 10 years? Super Bowl. He was part of Legion of what, Boom?
Yeah, Legion
right?
Boom. LOB, baby.
I mean, we need that. Dan Campbell knows we need that. We need that energy. We need the experience, the guidance. When somebody's messing up on the line, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Bruce will be there to put them in check, man. He will put them in check. You got to be excited. I hate the comments of age because I'm old. I'm not a young buck. I'm in my 40s. But he's not expected to play every play.
I'm in my 30s.
There you go.
You're a 30s lie, Darcy.
Now, Donnie, what you said is the same thing I heard from someone that played on the team with Bruce Irvin. He said that when Bruce Irvin's on your team, ain't no one getting away with shit on that defense. If they do something wrong, he's gonna let them know. And if you go back to the past years and you go watch some of the Bruce Irvin games, I think it was when he was playing with Carolina, he was chewing out the other guys saying, "Do your freaking job."
Exactly.
And if you do know this, the Lions do need that because there are certain players on this team, on the defensive line, that try to go way out of their way. They're not helping themselves. One of them is Lee McNeil. He could have a couple more sacks if he just stayed in his lane. Right. So that's someone that I look at and I go, okay, it's a veteran presence that you need that brings a little bit of grit and
attitude.
And you need guys like that. You need guys like that. I don't care what sport you play. You needed a Kenny Rogers with the Detroit Tigers in 06. You needed a Darren McCarty with you in the Stanley Cup champions with the Red Wings. You need bastards that are just going to break open the game, man.
The Lions are, the Lions need someone. And who better than, I hear all the Sue comments, Sue this, Sue that. Look, Bruce will bring more to this team than Sue ever has.
Well, Sue ain't gonna. I mean, Bruce Irvin ain't gonna like shoot a pellet gun at a cable guy. So
Right. I just think it's going to be electric, and I hope all the fans embrace him. I hope they love him. I want to hear freaking Bruce all around Ford Field. I just want to hear it, man.
I think it was a sneaky good signing. I think people are really going to like it. I really do.
I think once he pops a quarterback in the mouth, he hits a gap, nobody touches him. That place is going to go crazy. And let me just say this: I heard it through the grapevine that Thanksgiving, be looking for 51.
Thanksgiving. He called a shot. Donnie's a man.
Hey, that's my prediction from my source. Now, if you don't play,
I know you have a good source now. There ain't no denying that.
Yeah, but I've got my fingers crossed, man. I'm not trying to be a liar.
No, man, you ain't.
What I'm hearing is you're going to see some Bruce. Look, the guy's in phenomenal shape, man. He's worked out all year round. Okay, I know he's not football ready because he's not probably hit somebody, but I'm telling you, he's ready. He's ready to play.
Those West Virginia boys built different.
What he told Dale was, I'm excited to be coming to Detroit and playing for that team and that coach.
Yep, the coach is the major reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they got the big bodies up front to keep them clean. I think that's key. And we haven't had like an undersized speed rusher like him in a very long time. So, hey, hopefully he hits the ground and we get some playoff magic. He goes to the playoffs with us and he finishes with 12.5 sacks.
I got a bold prediction with this though. I think they brought Bruce Irvin in to teach Derek Barnes how to pass rush. Because think about it. Some of Derek Barnes' best plays have been on the pass rush. Because they put Jack Campbell at the pass rush for some reason a couple times to just kind of get a fast guy in there. It didn't work that well. But when they put Derek Barnes in there, he does a pretty damn good job. He just doesn't have the moves to do it.
Right.
So I look at that like that too.
Yeah. He's going to help this defense out a lot, man.
Oh, for sure. Good veteran presence. He's better
if you're not a Lions fan, or if you're a Lions fan, you're not excited about this signing, whether you're from West Virginia and you're a big Mountaineer fan, Lions fan, whatever. They're making moves, man. Look, we got a GM. Look, guys, we have a GM. He's good. Brad's awesome. He knows his stuff. What did Dan say not long ago, or maybe it was during the draft or free agency? He's like, we don't sign no turds.
Yep. Well, they don't do that, man. That's one of the reasons I don't think they signed a couple of players that they should have signed. But
Yeah. I think this is an offense, man, where, we were so used to for years having Calvin Johnson and to a lesser extent Roy Williams first couple years in the league where he was still showing some promise and whatnot, but mainly Calvin Johnson. We've been used to first down, second down, third down, first read, second read, third read. With this team now on 3rd and 10, you have zero idea defensively of what they're going to do. It could be a draw behind that great offensive line to Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. It could be a toss. It could be a wheel route to Jahmyr Gibbs. It could be a short dig to Donovan Peoples-Jones or Amon-Ra St. Brown. It could be a skinny post to Craig, not Craig Reynolds, but Reynolds. Yeah, I mean, it's Laporta. Like, the options are through the roof. And I think that's one big reason why it's so hard to stop this team on 3rd down. Not only the play calling from Ben Johnson, but the fact that there's strength in numbers. Now, do we have an all-pro out there? No, we don't. We don't have a Jamar Chase, a guy who can score from anywhere on the field or whatnot. We don't have an A.J. Brown. We don't have a Tyreek Hill. But we got a bunch of guys who you have zero idea. And all these guys know when they break the huddle, I have a shot to get this football from Jared Goff. That's why I say if Jameson pans out, it all goes back to Jameson. He's the guy that can unlock this offense. If he puts it together in year 3, all hell's gonna break loose offensively with this team.
Even the second half of the year, if he breaks free, like that's crude. But you brought up a good point, Walt, because if you ever talk to people who are defensive coordinators or they coach the defensive side of the ball, the one thing they always say that like gives defensive coordinators nightmares at night is a team that can attack all levels of the defense. If you have a guy like St. Brown who can go in the middle, and you have Laporta that can go in the middle, and then you have Jahmyr Gibbs that can go out wide. You could have Josh Reynolds run a post route or a streak route or a fly. Like those things, like defensive coordinators, they love to have control of what they can do, and when they don't know what the hell to do, they're kind of limited on what kind of defense they're going to run against you because they can't run zone, because if they run zone, someone's going to get free. If they run man, someone's going to get free. And if they decide that they're going to all-out blitz you, well, guess what? There's like 3 or 4 guys that are wide open.
Yeah, I think a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare is a balanced defense.
Yep.
a balanced field where we have to play you straight up. You don't, as much as we all like Amon-Ra St. Brown, they don't necessarily have to double him. Laporte, like I said, Laporte is the threat. Reynolds is the threat. Any given Sunday, Khalif Raymond can have a huge play for us. So, like I said, Gibbs, the running backs, the fact that we dominate the line of scrimmage the way we do with that offensive line.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, it's what do you think, Donnie?
I think our offense is probably the scariest offense in the NFL, especially having the 2 running backs click. Like, if this is going to be an every week norm now, that these guys are going to do what they did last week, I know it's against a bad defense.
But they were one of the best run defenses, and they were one top 10, I think.
That's true. That's true. I'm excited, man. If we can just, get the defense back playing like when we play bad teams, get them to play at least decent against the really good offenses, it's going to be scary, man, because we can flip-flop the field a lot. I think we're this close.
Yeah.
I think we are. Defensive-wise, we're this close. I think Aaron Glenn's a great coordinator. I really do. I think some of the play calling and adjustments, he needs to make better adjustments, but the players need to step up too and take accountability. Mm-hmm. That's when signing a veteran player like a Bruce Irvin will help out.
Yep.
I'm excited, guys. I can't wait. Not just for this week, for the rest of the year. I think I've never been this excited being a Lions fan. Never.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's been this excited to be like the Lions season. Like, I remember people in 2014 were saying, "Oh, the Lions are a good team," and I always told them, like, no, they weren't a good football team. Like, they
wasn't. People confuse exciting with good. Like, there's nothing good about falling behind 21-3 all the time to people.
They was so extremely flawed in a lot of categories. And then Cassius Vaughn, who I had an affinity for, hated Cassius Vaughn. That guy, his quarterback rating against was like 145. I was like, geez, Pete, this guy makes it just a random quarterback look good. Like Walt was saying last week, he's like, do you think you could pass 25 yards against the defense? If Cassius Vaughn's on the field, yes.
Or Nevin Lawson.
Well, Nevin Lawson was just a bulldog. So, the one thing I did want to ask, I don't know if you guys like thought about this or whatever, but how important do you think it is to get the first round, like the first overall seed in the NFC? Because you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they got a tough schedule coming up. The San Francisco 49ers have a tough schedule coming up. Yeah, you would want to play good teams. I know if Avery was on here, he's like, "Yeah, you just want to get the easy way." No, but it's a product of your circumstance. So right now you got the easy schedule. They had the easier schedule at the beginning, so you're gonna have it at the end, and it's set up good for Detroit to get the number 1 overall seed. To be honest,
it's huge. It's huge because that's a path to the Super Bowl. Think about this: you have never had a playoff game at Ford Field, right? Correct. We never won the division, right? So we get that home playoff game, but we get a week of rest before that playoff game. So that place is going to be crazy. Everybody's going to be crazy. I wouldn't want to be that poor team that comes in there thinking that they got a chance, because they probably don't. So you win that game, you're 1 win away, just like we were against the Redskins many moons ago with Barry. 1 win away from getting to the bowl. I like my odds. I like our chances. I wouldn't want to be any of those teams, the Eagles, the 49ers. I know they're good teams, even Dallas if they get lucky. I wouldn't.
Minnesota.
We have a chance.
Could be Minnesota too.
Man, Minnesota that'd be crazy, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily is needed. In some cases, this team looks better on the road than they do at home, and I think that's a testament to Dan Campbell. Like, the really top echelon teams can go on the road and handle business, and that's what this team does. You know, the Kansas City win, regardless of whether or not Kelsey was there, Chris Jones was there, Kansas City still could have kicked our teeth in, but they didn't.
Yeah,
you know, this team is mentally tough. I'm not fearful at all of them going on the road. Now, one question I do have for you guys is, easier beat, Philadelphia or Frisco? Because I've had this conversation with a few people. I think for me, we stand a better chance at beating San Francisco than Philly for one big reason. Well, a couple big reasons. For two, the Eagles are going to stretch us downfield. They want to get vertical. That could be a big problem for us.
Yep.
Also, Jalen Hurts, his ability to extend plays and make things happen with his feet. Purdy and Shanahan is a complete horizontal offense. Their deep threat is their tight end in Kittle.
Yep.
So can we handle Debo and Brandon Ayuk and their physicality and all of those 10-yard digs and a slant here and an end around there? I think we can handle that team. And then I'm not scared of Purdy either. So in my estimation, I think Frisco would be a better matchup for us over Philly.
Even if it's a home game?
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm not too scared. I'm not that really intimidated by Frisco anymore.
Yeah, me neither. But the Eagles, they struggle at times too, man. They don't look very good. But I agree with you. I think the 49ers would be a better matchup for us as far as.
Now, if you can't, the thing is, they come at you in waves. So if you can't match San Francisco's physicality, sometimes watching them plays feels like it's 13 guys on the field. That they play defense on the string. Everybody floods to the football. Everybody tackles well. Everybody wants to punch the ball out. It's difficult playing that team. But what I have noticed with San Francisco, whether it was against Cleveland or it was against Minnesota, or even Cincinnati, who kind of offensively did what they wanted to do to Frisco, if you can wash Frisco out early and dictate the game to them and not allow them to come at you in waves, you can beat San Francisco.
Right.
That's what pretty much what makes me more comfortable about beating them than Philadelphia. Philadelphia is more mentally tough. I think, than San Francisco.
Their schedule, that you guys see the Eagles' schedule, it looks pretty brutal, but they're Philadelphia.
I think the Eagles are. I don't know what the Eagles are, to be honest, yet, because when you look at that pass defense, not really that great. Not really that great. And the second thing is, I mentioned EVE earlier in the podcast. They're, I think, second worst among NFC playoff teams right now.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing about the Philadelphia Eagles, though. Like, yeah, you said it right. About Jalen Hurts scrambling, that deep threat of AJ Brown. But I feel like the Lions are built enough to go against a Philly team because they have an offensive line. I think there's only two teams that could challenge Philly, to be honest, and they're Detroit and San Francisco. Because I think if you look at the way San Francisco played them last year, they struggled against a good offensive line, and then you look at Dallas, like that's a decent offensive line, not the greatest, but they're decent. Like, you have to have an offensive line to play Philly because they are physical on both sides of the ball. And if you can stop their pass rushers, like, do I have full confidence that Penei Sewell could stop Hassan Reddick at will? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Hassan Reddick is what stirs the drink for that team.
Yeah, I think also, if you look at how Kansas City beat them in the Super Bowl, pretty much offensively, or at least with the offensive line, a lot of what we do, a lot of duo, a lot of double blocks, and that's how they got them down. So, yeah, I mean, then there's also Devontae Smith. I just think that their ability to challenge you vertically causes a lot of problems for a lot of teams. And I just think that would be rougher on us than Purdy and the way San Francisco runs their offense. Now, having Christian McCaffrey there is a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
But one thing you can honestly count on, and not to say that it's going to happen this way, and not to say that I hope it happens this way, but how often is Frisco healthy? Like, even come playoff time. It's almost a guarantee either Debo won't be there for one of those games.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy at all.
C-Mac may not be there. Ayuk.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just going back over the past 4 years of San Francisco. It's been kind of like the Buffalo Bills of the NFC, minus the 4 Super Bowl appearances. Like, it just seems like something always goes wrong for San Francisco come playoff time.
How about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? I think he changed his name. What's the chance to get back? Because that would be a big pickup.
Big pickup.
He could come back. I know Tony Peck is a serious injury, but man, some dudes are built different than others. Especially when they're talking about Aaron Rodgers coming back. You think we get him back?
I think they'll get him back. I think his name is CD Deuce now. He changed his name legally, which it doesn't even make sense, but whatever.
Okay.
But if they get him back, man, that's a huge for the defense. But I just look at it like this: like, I really want to see what Philadelphia is without Dallas Goedert, because I feel like whenever Jalen Hurts is struggling to find AJ Brown or he's struggling to find Devontae Smith, he always goes Dallas Goedert. That's his safety will right there.
Right.
So if he doesn't have Dallas Goedert, that's a huge, because Dallas Goedert has a fractured forearm. I mean, I'm interested to see what they look like without Dallas Goedert. That's what I look at. Walt brought up Christian McCaffrey getting hurt, Debo. I think this could be a similar kind of thing for the Eagles, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're muted.
No, I was just saying Philly can run the ball too. Yeah, this Eagles team is flawed. Don't get me wrong. This is one of the most flawed one-loss teams I've seen in a long time. They just seem to do just a little bit more than you on any given Sunday. It seems like that's what it is. They probably should be undefeated if Sirianni, whoever did make that call at the New York Jets to throw the ball instead of running it, and then Hurts he just made things even worse by actually throwing the damn ball to where he did. But no, I think you don't have to be perfect to win the Super Bowl. You don't have to be perfect to make it to the Super Bowl. Come playoff time, you just got to make some plays. If you look at Cincinnati, You go back to Cincinnati's run a couple years ago. They kind of struck gold in the first couple rounds. They played some teams that couldn't score worth a damn.
Right.
Tennessee couldn't score in the second round. The Raiders couldn't score at all that they played in the first round, and they already had the Chiefs number because they had played the Chiefs during the regular season and beat the Chiefs.
The two keys for the Lions to get far in the playoffs, in my opinion, number one's health.
Mm-hmm.
You need everybody healthy. Number two is playing good. Now, you get that combination. Remember last year when the 49ers played the Eagles, their quarterback got hurt, in the first quarter? I know he's not the rookie, but he was playing good up to that point. That's game over, fellas. One player can hurt you. You lose him, depending on who that player is. So, I mean, we can say Philly, we can say 49ers. If you got to come to Ford Field in the playoffs, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough for whoever has to come. And that's why I want the bye week. I'm really wanting this bye week bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be either Minnesota, Dallas, or Seattle. More than likely, who's going to have to end up coming here.
Right.
I just look at it like this. If you get the first round bye, let's say you get the first round bye, you're going to play a lower seeded team for the first divisional game. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to the NFC Championship game, if you get to the NFC Championship game, you're going to go either against the Eagles or the 49ers. And you know that game is going to be a slugfest. They're going to be hitting each other up and down the field. So, if you get the first round bye, that could give you a little bit of wiggle room in terms of you're going into the game more healthy. You're going into the game more. I mean, they're going into the game more battle tested, but at this point in the season, the playoffs are all about attrition. I think any playoff you go into, Major League Baseball, hockey, NFL, well, the NBA is a little bit different. I mean, unless you get major injuries, you're screwed. But in those three sports, it's like injuries happen and you're done. Like that's the way it goes. I think there's been a lot of teams over the years like that have just caught heat at the right time, like the Giants in 08 and 11. Were they a good team? Absolutely not. But when it came to the playoffs, they turned it on.
Yeah, I think continuity and repetition matters a lot too. You look at going back to that same Cincinnati Bengals playoff run, Derrick Henry missed 11 games. Mm-hmm. They brought him back in the second round, thought he was going to really help against Cincinnati, and not a damn thing happened. Because, you took a running back who had missed 11 games and dropped him right into the playoffs against a team that was hot. And that Cincinnati defense wasn't great, but it was opportunistic. That's all you got to do.
The one thing about that Cincinnati defense that people kind of gloss over is Trey Hendrickson got hot at the right time. Like he started becoming a real, just a pain in the ass for any offensive line. And then Awuzie was playing out of his mind. So, and then Logan Wilson came, started coming on the fold. Jermaine Pratt started coming on the fold, and you had Jesse Bates. So, I know Walt loves him some Jesse Bates. So,
I love me some playmakers, man. Dax Hill even out there making some plays. Now I'm proud of him, Michigan player.
Yeah, Dax Hill is doing a damn good job.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this Detroit team, they play playoff type football. That's why I've been saying for weeks I felt that they were better than the Dolphins. The Dolphins are more exciting, sexy to watch. That shit ain't working come playoff time.
No.
It's not. If they got to go on the road to play at Cincinnati in Ohio in the middle of January and it's 8 degrees outside, that ain't working. If they got to go play at Baltimore, that ain't working. It's just not. If they got to go play at Kansas City, that ain't working.
No. Right. That Miami Dolphins team, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm kind of getting this wrong, but they remind me of the 2011 Lions. Like, they just remind me of a better version of it because they are up and down the field. Their defense isn't really that great. And if you hit them in the mouth a couple times, they kind of go into a shell. And that's kind of what I look at when I see the Miami Dolphins.
I see the NFL version of the Phoenix Suns. Like the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns,
Man.
It's funny, man. Like they failed all their big tests. Josh Allen slit their throats the way he always does. They went up to Philly. That was their next big test. Philly punched them. They lose all of their big games.
The Chiefs, they lost to the Chiefs, so
yeah,
it is what it is. So, is there anything else you guys have on your do you want to talk about real quick?
Nah, but while I'm here, I'll just let you guys know. Breaking news: I think the Lions are going to win Sunday.
Well, Walt, you're going. So I mean, I hope they win. I hope they win for you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to, man. You know how many sad walks I've had out of that stadium. You know what it's like to walk out of that stadium after a loss, and everybody walking next to you, and they mumbling and talking shit about this shouldn't have happened and that shouldn't have happened, and fire Campbell or fire Caldwell or fire Schwartz, and I'm never supporting this team again. And some drunk asshole is throwing his Lions jersey on the ground outside on grass shit, and
Burning Stafford's jersey after the Denver
yeah,
game.
it's horrible walking out of that stadium after a loss.
Well, I remember the last game I went to before Darcy took me to the Carolina game. It was a Kansas City Chiefs versus Detroit Lions. Remember that game where Kerryon Johnson fumbled the ball at the 1 yard line?
Shootout.
Yeah, they took it back.
Galladay and everything.
Yeah, and they took it back to the house. I was like, man, I was never going back with Matt Patricia as the coach. I wasn't. I would never go back because that guy was an idiot. I just thought he was like total idiot. But then when Dan Campbell came out, I was like, all right, I'll let it play out. And now I just think that this team and this front office actually has its head on its shoulders. And Walt's been critical at times about the way that they approached the draft. I really thought that they didn't think they would be this good this quick. That's my opinion. Because the way they drafted, they kind of just wanted to fill some holes and make their team better. And I think if they could redo it, I mean, Tyree Wilson's not doing nothing with the Vegas Raiders, so that's kind of a moot point. But
he hustles.
Yeah,
I'll say that he's damn near an elite run defender. If he gets the angle to get to the run, he gets there. Now he's still a work in progress.
Yep,
pass rush wise.
That was the guy I wanted to draft out of the Texas Tech. But
I wanted Christian Gonzalez, so neither one of us got what we wanted.
And I wanted Dante Stills. I went to his draft party, man. Big WVU player here. Went to Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, Dante Stills. Yeah,
Dante Stills. I'm a good friend of the family, man. Good people.
Dante Stills, man. I remember when he was at West Virginia, and he caught that one bomb from, I forget the quarterback, but he caught the bomb out of, like, he was wide open, and then someone came out of nowhere and just got him. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Good plays, man. Gary, he played in the league for about 10 years. Their dad.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Kansas City. Good player, man.
I'll tell you what, if people don't know this and they're kind of a college football aficionado, Morgantown has to be one of the top ones you got to go to.
Yeah, you guys got to come, man. It's a blast. It's fun.
I've been to Morgantown. That place is absolutely wild. Now, I like West Virginia people because they're just good old wholesome people. They way better than those LSU fans, but the ones that really get me is the Gator fans. Like they are just so they are like they're the college version of the Dallas Cowboys. Like they just think they are the kings of it.
Yeah, the SEC, man, they're special, aren't they?
Well, Georgia's pretty nice to go to too. I like Georgia, and then
I'm looking for playoff expansion, man. We need more than 4 teams, man. It'd be better for the sport, you know.
Well, if we had 12 teams, this playoff would be absolutely freaking phenomenal this year. Like, there's so many good teams in college football.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the 14 playoff, it kind of cuts off, like, this is kind of going off our Lions topic, but like Florida State, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if they go undefeated in a bad ACC, should they really get credit for that? Like, to be honest, like, no. Because if Alabama or Georgia was to run the tape, if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship, you're gonna keep Florida State in there, or put Alabama in there.
You don't think Florida State's one of the 4 best teams in America?
No, they are literally a paper tiger.
Damn.
Florida, I'll tell you what. If Florida State went to go play Oregon right now, I pick Oregon all day long.
Old ass Bo Nix.
Man, it don't matter if Bo Nix is old. He just gets it done.
I just got to say that every time. I think the fact that wasn't Bo Nix and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields recruiting class?
Yeah.
High school? Yeah.
So what do you think goes on, or what happens to Harbaugh with Michigan? Is he coming back? Is he going to get the coach? Is he going to be in the NFL next year?
I don't know. I think something's going to happen with that. I really do.
Big 12 or the Big 10 commissioner and all that stuff.
It's a mess, man. And the whole thing about it is, like, It could have been avoided if they just started like saying like, okay, we did this messed up. Like, yeah, we hired this idiot that did this. Like, he's an idiot. Like, no, they're trying to fight it, and that's the worst thing to do because if you fight that and it goes to court, like I was talking to my one of my lawyers at my work, he was like, there ain't no Fortune 500 lawyer that's gonna tell you, yeah, let's go to court.
Yeah.
Next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow, you think Arthur Smith's gonna be out?
That dude's gone, man.
Yeah, that team's not very good, are they?
That dude's gone. That he's already, from what I've heard, he's already losing the locker room. And once you start losing your young talent, you know, Bijan Robinson, he's only played a handful of games in his NFL career, but he's a pretty mild-mannered dude. So if Bijan's ruffled, there's the problem with this. But they hired the wrong dude. And I said that from the very beginning that what he was in Tennessee, he was going to bring that to Atlanta. And he's in a situation now where he still wants to run. That's why I wonder, did he make those draft picks? Was the Kyle Pitts draft pick his pick?
I don't think so.
Because it's almost as if he gets these picks and he runs his offense in spite of it to tell somebody, this is my team. I'm not throwing Pitts a damn thing. I'm not giving Bijan this. I'm not giving Drake London that. Like, the play calling just weird, man. It's really weird.
Well, I know, because Tennessee's like my second team. You know what I'm saying? I like the Tennessee Titans, and one thing I can say about Arthur Smith and Matt LaFleur is they run that Tennessee offense to a T, and they're not built like it, man. They just aren't. Like Matt LaFleur thought he was like the cat's meow when he had Aaron Rodgers. Well, guess what happens when you don't have Aaron Rodgers? Jordan Love comes. And then, it's like Arthur Smith. Like, when you don't have a quarterback, like, yeah, you can't replicate every has-been like Ryan Tannehill into Ryan Tannehill. Like, you can't replicate Desmond Ridder into Ryan Tannehill. It just doesn't happen. Ryan Tannehill was a decent quarterback. He really was. He wasn't bad. He wasn't gonna be like this all elite player, but he was gonna give you some throws. When he had AJ Brown, he was a pretty damn good quarterback. Adam Gase really ruined Ryan Tannehill, if you want to be honest. But they didn't have Derrick Henry. That offensive line that they had in Tennessee was way better than it is in Atlanta. And it's a totally different situation, man. Like, that defense in Tennessee was really, really good. All right, we ruffled the Michigan fans.
You traitor.
Well, they seen Walter's Spartan hat last time, so now it doesn't
lost
help
viewers. Lost viewers.
Now we don't. Who gives a shit about the viewers? Like, to be honest, they come and they go.
We're at 7.
7 people that are tuned in. You got my joke, so it's all right.
So, Darcy, which ticket is going to cost more? Playoffs here against Dallas or playoffs here against Minnesota?
Well, obviously Dallas, because Dallas is America's team, realistically.
Wait.
My fucking brother-in-law texts me anytime I freaking
Darcy, you're missing it. There is no Cowboys are America's team, because guess who's America's team, baby? They're in the comments. The Michigan Wolverines.
You got 12 comments. You haven't even posted them. Any of them.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
See, that's why I'm a better producer than you are.
I posted some of these. Now, let's see. But beating Philly would be so much weird. Is this whatever? Yeah, there was a couple comments I didn't post.
When Donnie messaged me, I thought it was Dan Cleary. I thought, holy fuck, I got an NHL player messaging me. I was like, whoa, damn.
So that's why I was thanking you guys for having me.
Get some podcast equipment. Because how did you do, guys?
He did great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Donnie's cool. He's a good old West Virginia boy, and those guys are pretty cool.
We need podcasters from all over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And hopefully our Lions win it all this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I think they have a good shot.
We got a chance, fellas. But I've got to roll, unfortunately. But again, thanks for having me.
See you, Donnie.
No problem.
Yeah.
See you, Donnie.
We'll have you on another show again.
What up, Darcy?
I am so goddamn good looking.
Here we go again, Walt. You see this?
I am.
We have Skip Bayless over here.
Joe, why you didn't compliment him on his looks? Now he's gonna be extra vain the next episode. he'll come out in a crown.
So hang on.
You gotta play Rapunzel let down his hair, you know.
Okay. So you guys, we're gonna do a show right after the when we beat the Chicago Bears. I don't know if Walter's gonna be able to come on because he's gonna be at the game. We're gonna schedule it for 6:30. Everybody, please subscribe to the Detroit Lions news show on YouTube for the 7. Hopefully, I get 7 more. It's the biggest secret for YouTube because we've had 7 former players. We just had Stefan Logan on. We had this character Joe Chapp on, and we also had the Detroit Lions Avenue with Walter Stringer. Please subscribe to everybody's podcast. I love you guys. This is going to be great. You know what? We're going to be 9-2 real quick. 9-2 real quick in 8 days. 92. And Joe was right. I hate to say this. Goff. Do you want to pay that man? Oh my God. Here's another subject. Do you want to pay that man? I love golf. I love golf now. I was wrong.
He finally threw the now in there at the end.
I told you, Darcy. I told you. You were gonna come to the dark side. I got Tyler to come to the dark side. He's all right. He was telling me, no, I ain't coming to the dark side. I was like, listen, I'm telling you. Now you come to the dark side. I gotta get a couple more people to the dark side, but we gotta extend that golf, you know. And people keep talking about Hendon Hooker. Stop, please stop.
But why would we draft him in the 3rd round? Like, you got to realize that.
Backup quarterback?
No, we drafted him to start in a couple of years.
If you were drafting him to start, you got him in the 1st round. Do you know how?
Do you know that?
Yeah.
You
Do you know that? Do you
Brad
know do you know the hit rate on quarterbacks after the 2nd round?
I don't care about hit rates because he was injured. He had an ACL.
Well, hit rates is like how many of these quarterbacks actually turn out to be something. You know what I'm saying? And that hit rate ain't good. It's like 2%.
Okay, so do you like the way the ball comes out of Goff's hand? Seriously.
Do I care? I don't care.
So if he's playing in Green Bay in Week 18 with the wind and all that, or Baltimore.
Last year he played in Week 18. He won. Wasn't the prettiest game, but he won.
Oh boy, this is a whole different discussion. we can talk about this topic for about 3 hours, man.
So I wanted to I at least wanted to have Hendon start one of these games. I was hoping that we wrapped up the division.
Okay.
But it doesn't look like we've wrapped up the division because those fucking Vikings have such an easy schedule. They're going to lose the fucking Bengals, obviously. Yeah. But that's, you know, when are we going to see Hendon? That is the subject. And when are you guys going to do a draft show? I could set it up with Risden, and you guys could.
We'll have Risden on for sure. Me and Walt got to get a Risden on, but I don't want to see Hendon.
You don't want to see Hendon.
No, keep him on.
You don't want to win the division, and we don't. Realistically, guys,
Teddy Two Gloves is going in there if we win the division. It ain't gonna be a Hendon Hooker.
No. Dan Campbell already said he wants reps with him.
Dan Campbell said a lot of things.
Why do you hate Warren Moon 2.0?
Call him Warren Moon.
Okay, Darcy, because I watch Tennessee like a sieve, okay? I love Tennessee football, and the one thing I know about Hendon Hooker is he is Oppo Goff. You know what I'm saying? Oppo Goff.
Right.
He could throw these deep balls like no one's business. But when
Right.
you need a short laser, when you need a medium post route, when you need that, not a chance. And if another thing, when the running backs are coming out of the backfield, he misses them 9 times out of 10. Go ask every Tennessee running back. Now I feel bad for every Tennessee running back this year because they got another sieve in Joe Milton. See, Tennessee quarterbacks, I tell you what's something about Tennessee quarterbacks.
Okay. Okay, this is more for the draft show, but the reason I look at Dobbs, right? And if you could grab that, 5-6 yards to get the first down, do you think your boy Jared Goff can do that? He won't do it. He's only ran for what, 2 first downs for this year?
Did Eli Manning run the football?
A little bit.
He won 2 Super Bowls. I mean,
but Eli had some gunslinger in him too. Eli was too ignorant for the moment. He didn't know he was supposed to be there. He didn't know he wasn't supposed to be competing with Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Wait, here's what I'll say about Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is extremely smart. Yeah. And I think you can't put a price on smarts, man.
No, he
there's a lot. If you look around this league, there is a lot of dumb quarterbacks. Let's just put it that way. A lot of dumb quarterbacks.
And you have to say, like, he has a fucking hot girlfriend. Wouldn't that make you more confident to have a hot girlfriend?
He's an NFL player. They all got hot girls.
No. They all got attitudes. Yeah. Realistically,
well, at least his girlfriend stays out of his affairs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at
Not
you,
like Kelly.
looking at you
Not
like Mahomes. Yeah, Kelly's another one. She was always in everything.
So here's the next show topic is who won the draft? Right? Who won the trade?
The entire league? All 32 teams? Or?
No, who won the trade? The Rams or Detroit? Okay, so are you going to take Matthew Stafford? He won a Super Bowl, but then been shit for fucking 3 years.
Yep.
Right? Like Walt said, in the early part, just before the season, we are I think it was Avery, we are in the precipice of rebuild. We need to cash our ticket, right? So how long do you think the Detroit Lions are going to be relevant? Because the NFL is all about up and down unless you're the fucking Patriots. That's why I think the show right there.
That's why I think Brett Holmes is building a sustainable product, man. I really do. He's building a sustainable product. It ain't just going to be a 1, 2, 3 year thing like some of these teams. I think it's going to be more like the Philly kind of thing, where they might have a down year, but then they come back up.
Yeah.
I think they got to win. That's the whole thing. I mean, you look at Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. They've been a perennial playoff team. They've won playoff games, but they ultimately haven't won the big one. Didn't even reach the big one. So, I mean, can't really compare it now because I think the Rams knew what they were getting into. They knew that this was going to be the ugly backhand side of winning the Super Bowl. They sold everything in, cashed their chips in. They won their Super Bowl, and now they got to deal with it. But I'm hearing Lions fans say that the Lions won the trade already. Like, they haven't even won a damn playoff game.
Okay.
They haven't even made the playoffs, so how did they win the trade? They got more players, but...
I'm asking YouTube. No, I'm asking YouTube because I respect the hell out of you. No. Let me finish my thought. What would it take for you guys to say we won that trade?
I was just about to say that.
Well, let me get my little take in.
Win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, win a Super Bowl, number one. But if you get 2 guys on a team that turn into Hall of Famers, you won the trade. And if you have 2 guys that turn into Hall of Famers, you're probably winning a Super Bowl.
Well,
I think it's difficult, like for Lions fans, because Lions fans aren't used to any success. So, like, let's say this regime becomes playoffs this year, win a playoff game, next year first round exit, year after that make it to the NFC Championship, lose, next year after that second round exit. Lions fans haven't even seen that. So I think a lot of Lions fans will probably view something like that as success. Now, I wouldn't, because ultimately the Rams went to a Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So I think for a lot of Lions fans, they just want to see sustained success. But for me, sustained success does not mean we won the trade. I mean, we could end up with a bunch of really good players for that matter, but if we never at least match what the Rams did, which was at least reach a Super Bowl, you got to at least reach one. But they won it. So for me, we need to actually win it, man. And it's funny because rarely do you see an NFL trade where both teams come out really good. You know, usually the team that gets the better player winds up winning the trade. But if you notice lately in the NFL, that's not the way it worked with Seattle and Denver. Denver, so much for Seattle has taken what they got from Denver, and they've turned it into a lot. So Seattle should be contending for the next few years. Who else? The Tyreek Hill trade with Miami.
Yeah.
Who won that? Kansas City won it.
And
they took those picks they got from Miami for Tyreek Hill, and they turned it into Karlaftis. They turned it into McDuffie, and they turned it into, was it Leo Chenal, I believe?
Yep.
So they got 3 starters out of that deal and a Super Bowl win last year. So they won immediately. Now the Dolphins, on the other hand, they're putting up video game numbers. You know, Tyreek Hill's looking like the best receiver in football again, but where has it gotten them?
Well, don't forget the Miami Dolphins also traded for Bradley Chapp too.
Oh yeah.
And that was one of the picks that went to Seattle.
They got Ramsey over there too.
I don't know what the hell the Dolphins are, to be honest.
Okay, so we're at the midway point here. I want to get your guys' perspective on who's gonna, like, I had Baltimore and I had in Seattle for the Super Bowl. What are your midway predictions on because things change, people
Are you
get
sticking
injured?
with that
Like,
predictions, Darcy?
I got the Lions, and I'm gonna go Baltimore. Another rematch and I'm going to be there for I'm not going to be at the game. I'm going to be in Vegas just because we got comp rooms. So yeah, I'm going to be there Thursday. I'm going to hang out and I'm going to try to network. That's what I'm good at doing, right? I suck at hosting. Shut
up. God.
I suck at hosting.
You're
you know that.
You're a good host.
No, I'm good at getting people on. You guys right here is 1,
Darcy,
2.
You don't give yourself
Detroit
enough
Lions are Lions. What?
You don't give yourself enough credit, man. You a good host.
Well, I told you already. I'm the best looking podcaster out
there. That's what I'm saying. See,
I had a feeling he was about to say that again. I was waiting on him to say it.
I was just waiting on it. I was trying to get it out. Who do you got, Walt?
I'm still sticking with Cincinnati and Philly. I think Cincinnati wins this. They win tomorrow night. This is a huge game for them and the Ravens. My gut feeling is that Cincinnati is still better than Baltimore. I think Burrow's better than Lamar. I think he's played better than Lamar this season, despite the injury that he suffered. Cincinnati started the season 0-2. They got a tiebreaker already in their back pocket over Buffalo in case it comes to that. But this is a huge game. And, you know, Cincinnati, they're a drop pass from Tyler Boyd away from being okay right now. And they lost that tiebreaker to Houston. That's another huge situation right there. So I think throughout the rest of the AFC, with Buffalo falling off, we're not really knowing who's going to win in the East, whether it's Buffalo or it's Miami.
It'll be Buffalo.
I'm pretty sure one team is coming out of the West, which is going to be Kansas City. And one team, I believe, is going to come out of the South, whether it's Houston or Jacksonville, remains to be seen. And I think 2 teams, maybe 3 teams. Well, Deshaun Watson's out for Cleveland now. But I think 2 teams are going to come out of the North.
See, Darcy, you are the dude.
That's all Darcy needed to hear. Now he's going to wear makeup the next show.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
I used to be a stripper back in the day, and that's how I put my way through college. So I'm used to, you know, doing this kind of stuff, and you know, that's me.
Stripping is how I paid my way through SMW.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm still rolling with Cincinnati, man. I think it wouldn't shock me if Kansas City still did it. They got an elite quarterback. They got a really good defense this year. Andy Reid is still there. But I don't know, man. I don't trust Baltimore. I don't.
Why?
I think they're real.
They mollywop everybody in the NFC North or NFC. They mollywop. Like I look at the AFC, it's so much way better than the NFC.
Well, they like Walt was saying the one time we played, the one time we were talking about this, Walt said it the best. You know, these AFC teams, they know exactly what Lamar Jackson is and what he can't do.
Yeah, right.
And they scheme towards that. These NFC teams come in, they play, and they think it's Jalen Hurts or they think it's like someone else.
Right.
Lamar Jackson ain't like those guys, man. He's a way different cat than all the rest of them. So when they come play Lamar Jackson, they think, oh, we're gonna have a day. No, you ain't gonna have a day, especially in Baltimore. That's where they're the toughest.
Did you notice that the way Lamar Jackson was playing was exactly like Michigan's offense, right? He would step up, he would take that C gap, walk up, step up, everybody would come in, and then he'd just throw it. That's what J.J. McCarthy did against 2 weeks ago, and it was actually the same game plan. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Because I don't watch a lot of college football like Walt. If, you know.
Well, that was why it was crucial when they got Todd Monken as their offensive coordinator, because he came from Georgia, which they won back-to-back national champions.
Right.
And they had Stetson Bennett, Stetson Bennett is not nowhere near Lamar Jackson. But what they did, what Georgia did have is they had a great tight end, they had a run game, and they just pulverized you. And they had an offensive line, so they would just pulverize you. And that's exactly what Todd Monken brought to the Baltimore Ravens, is that kind of smash mouth and say, Lamar, don't take sacks, don't scramble around too much, just make the pass they're supposed to. That's something that Justin Fields, if he learns that, he could be like that too, but he don't have a coach like that.
So here's the next question. What do you expect out of Justin Fields? Because he's cleared to play, and he's going to play against us. The last time we played them, they missed a field goal in Chicago. It was 31-30. So now he's coming here to Ford Field. What do you expect from Justin Fields? And do you think it's going to be like 50 to 60% more zone because they want to keep the eyes on the quarterback just for that? And my boy, Julian Okwara, that you guys all fucking dissed and wanted to cut him out of the 50 fucking 30 man.
Don't throw us on the
I am
bus
fucking
like that.
right. No, I
Julian
am right.
might be watching, man.
You know what? No. Well, no. But Romeo, and you saw it, and they lived together. Romeo and Julian lived together. Did you hear the comment to John Maakaron? He called him Dan Gamble.
Yeah,
let's run that. I like that, Dan Gamble.
Yeah, I thought that whole scheme that he had going into the Charger game was interesting. Like he really wanted to score points at every turn.
That it was a nail biter though. Absolutely. Like you got 7 fourth down plays. 7.
Both those coaches were putting, but that one play at the end, that call that he made at the end, that was the ballsiest call I've ever seen in my entire life.
Absolutely.
Because if he misses that, man, you know how many people are freaking crazy.
You know what? Oh, to the 13 viewers, hopefully you don't subscribe. I was hoping for the Lions to lose just so we had better fucking podcast.
Damn,
man,
I wasn't hoping for that.
Nah, it's always better when they win, but how
do you know? You've never did a podcast with a fucking winning team. You've never had a fucking podcast with a winning team.
Okay,
we got one now.
This is new area.
Let me give you a glimpse.
We're newbies. We gotta act like we've been there, and we're not.
Yeah,
we're not acting like we've been there.
Well, some of them, this is a time where people like kind of, I don't know if they check out or whatever, but it's always this month of November is always like the worst month for like views and everything.
Listen, Walter's doing fucking draft shows the last fucking 10 years.
Well, Walter is a sicko.
No, listen, this is what Lions fans do. We check out at Thanksgiving and we start doing, mock drafts.
I think that's a nationwide thing, though. I think during this time of year, people are tired, they're exhausted, they're ready to get the season over with, they're ready to get the year over with. You got the holidays coming up. God forbid if you're a person that got kids with birthdays around this time, so you got double duty.
Nope.
Christmas and birthdays and Thanksgiving, and it's the end of the college football season. Getting ready to come up.
Once we hit that Thanksgiving, that's when it starts to pop off again, because that's when
What,
people
the
start.
draft stuff?
No, the podcast stuff.
Nobody seems to be really into the draft right now, except for like Patriot fans.
You are. You are.
Well, I'm talking about as far as people who actually follow football, like outside of us. You know, I hear Patriot fans talking about trading up for quarterbacks and the Giants, and
Who's
it
your
feels
number?
good to not
Well,
be one of those fan
here.
bases, now doesn't it?
Hang on for a sec. What's your take on the number one Heisman Trophy winner, or and you, Joe? What's your take on who is the best quarterback in this draft class?
Oh, this is a good one.
At this moment, I would probably say Drake May. Just for me personally, Drake has more the characteristics that I like. He's got more tools in his box, I believe. Combining it with the size, the 6'4", the 225 pounds, the ability to escape, the ability to move around. He can push the ball downfield. If you go to PFF, the way everybody goes to PFF, you look at his passing chart. He pushes the ball down the field probably almost more than any other quarterback in the country. So I would say him. I don't think Caleb's that far behind. It's just that, for me, I'm still into the bigger athletic quarterbacks. He's not athletic, but he's athletic enough. He can move around enough. So for me right now is Drake May. I'm not as down on Caleb as a lot of other people are. It seems to me he's become the whipping boy of this class. I never thought he would be him. I thought it would be somebody else. We witnessed Justin Herbert a few years ago. He was the whipping boy of his class. Justin Fields, by the time the draft rolled around, Justin Fields was the worst quarterback people would have ever seen in football. So right now it's like people are down on Caleb. I'm not as down on Caleb as a lot of other people are. I still think he's probably 1A, and wouldn't be shocked if Caleb still would ahead of Drake May.
Yeah, I think it depends on the team that goes at number one, because like if you're the Patriots, do you go with Drake May or do you go with Caleb Williams? Well, who's going to be your coach? That's number one. But if I was picking number one, I needed a quarterback, I'd pick Drake May all day long. It just seems to me like Drake May is more like Justin Herbert than anybody in this draft. And I like Caleb Williams. I really do like Caleb Williams. He's a good quarterback. He does a lot of things. He's got some dog in him. But the one issue with Caleb Williams is there's two. One, he fares worse when you press his wide receivers. He can't make that tight throw, and that's one thing I've really noticed, especially this year, especially when like he went to play Utah. Like, why does he always struggle against Utah? Because they play press, and when they had Clark Phillips last year, that was one of his worst games. So I kind of look at that, and then the second part about it is when you look at Caleb Williams and you go, who does he remind you of? I mean, I draw some comparables, like maybe Jalen Hurts, but I don't think he's as strong as Jalen Hurts. Like, there's too much unknown. I do like Caleb Williams. I think he's, like Walter said, 1A, 1B, but I'd definitely go Drake May first.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't argue with it. It's hard to really find a comparison for him. He's 6'1", 215. Justin Fields is a little bit bigger than him. I think Jalen Hurts, I agree with Joe. I think Jalen Hurts is a little bit stronger, at least a little bit stronger built than him. One thing I did notice about him and Lincoln Riley, I think Lincoln Riley has a lot more weighing on his reputation as well with this situation, because he's had Jalen Hurts. He's had him now, Caleb Williams. He had, what's his name? Spencer Rattler. He had Spencer Rattler. He had Baker Mayfield. He had Kyler Murray. If you go through all of those quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts is the only one. Well, he's the only one that's really successful. Although Kyler has had some success. He looked good coming back this past weekend. All of those other dudes' personalities are damn near the same a little bit. Jalen Hurts is the only guy that really appears to be grounded and really down to earth. And he's the one that's having the most success. So it's weird to me when I look back at it. how all of those quarterbacks kind of had the same brash bravado about them, and Baker's not doing much.
Yep.
None of the other guys. Kyler has the same type of personality.
Yep.
Spencer Rattler. None of those guys are really having the most success, and they're all kind of relatively around the same size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, that's a point that I think a lot of people miss with Caleb Williams is like people go Lincoln Riley's a great coach for quarterbacks. Well, if you look at their quarterbacks, like okay, Baker Mayfield, is he a great quarterback? No. Is Spencer Rattler? No. Is Kyler Murray? Well, Kyler Murray was good in college, but he hasn't lived up to the bill in the NFL. And I think the only thing that you could say that's different is Jalen Hurts started at Alabama, and I feel like he's got a lot of like the Alabama tendency that these quarterbacks at Alabama do have, which is like a leadership role. It's a team, not me kind of thing. And I think that Lincoln Riley, you hear some rumblings about how, he makes the quarterback out to be the main dish of the team, and like what they say goes. And I just think that sometimes that can cost you in the end.
Definitely.
All right, man. I think we ran a gambit, man.
Yeah. Too long.
But we was having good fun. All right, thanks for the 8 watchers that was listening. Darcy went to bed because he's old and he got to get his beauty sleep, so he looks good. And me and Walt are gonna see you in the next one. I'm pretty sure me and Walt are gonna do a show pretty soon, so we got figure it out, Walt. But
definitely
you, and Shante and Tyler, because I want to see you go at Tyler. That'd be great. I'll be cheering for that. Be like, let's go, baby, let's go.
Yeah, me and Tyler might agree on a lot of stuff. Maybe not AG, but we may agree on a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, his take on AG. No. I think a lot of Lions fans fall in that predicament though. They don't want to give him credit when he does good, and then when he does bad,
fire him.
He's a fire him. I'm like, man, where was this 2 weeks ago? Whatever.
Promote the linebackers coach.
Calvin Shepard, baby.
Man, I've heard that too from Lions fans on social media. Fire AG. Well, who do we replace him with? The linebackers coach. Like, okay, that'll work. Dre Bly.
Hey, well, the best part about it is like when you talk to people and they go, "Hey, the guy with the dreads," it's like he has a name, bro.
Yeah. Make him our coordinator. The guy with the dreads.
You don't even know who he is, bro.
Exactly. Give him a chance. Like this. That's not what football's about.
Nah.
All right, but all right, man. Appreciate it. I'll be back.
All right.
All right. Take care,
See you guys
everybody.
in the next one. Thank you.